Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Our invocation this morning is by Lexa.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks and praise this rainy Thursday morning. Your goodness makes us bold, bold to seek an end to polio, bold to reach out to others who face hardship and hunger, bold to work for world peace. Lend us your grace to serve others above self. Bless our fellowship, the food we eat, and the hands that serve and prepare that food. Amen.
Amen.
Lexa, any visitors or guests today? Okay. Just us. Okay.
Yeah, boy, attendance is really.
A couple of quick announcements this morning. Don't know how many of you saw the announcement, but the services for Michelle Roberts-Seltzer, who is Pete and Barbara's daughter, will be this coming Saturday at St. Thomas More Church. There's a funeral mass at 12, and visitation starts at 11. Unfortunately, I am going to be out of town this weekend, so I can't lead our group the way we typically do. I know we've got others involved in pets. We've got plenty of other folks who are out of town as well. But Lexa has volunteered to lead our delegation into the visitation. We typically gather outside the church together and then go in as a group to greet the family. So, Lexa, I think we agreed 11:15 on Saturday. So, for those of you who can attend, I know Pete and Barbara would really appreciate it. 11:15 at St. Thomas More Church. I think it's on Flexer Road, I believe.
Flexer Avenue.
Flexer Avenue. Hopefully we'll have a good showing from our club to support them at this difficult time. Does anybody know what tomorrow is?
Friday.
It's Friday, right? It's February 23rd. It's the 113th anniversary of Rotary International.
Wow.
So if Sue was here, we'd sing happy birthday, but just thought I would just make you guys aware of that. 113 years. Our club's been around for 92 of those years, I think. So, you know, a good chunk of that time has been represented right here in Emmaus. Alicia, I know you said you wanted to make an announcement, so I'll turn it over to you.
Well, here I am. On your table, you will see a flyer, and we also posted something. Thanks, Tony, for bringing the copies. And this is the flyer announcing our family workshop on social media safety on Tuesday, April the 3rd from 6 to 7:30 at Willow Lane Elementary School. And when we were at the Atlanta International Conference, we attended a session on world peace. And part of the session was specifically on cyberspace and our children's using it, the good news and the bad news. They encouraged us very, very strongly that clubs could engage in doing some of these workshops, especially because children have the tendency to go to their grandparents many times to tell them what's happening or what they are bothering them. And we grandparents have no clue about Snapchat and all these other things that the kids use. So we talked with Bert and agreed that it would be a good thing to do for our club. I'm very happy to announce that Valerie, working with Valerie, Deneen, and Tony, can work with wonderful Rotarians, and the same thing for our workshop for our Women's International Day. I encourage you to please invite your family members, yourself, your parents, if your children have grandparents, to come to the workshop. I assure you it will be worth your time. When we have the Interact students, they are the ones who are going to teach us how to use the social media, because only I am no good on that. And please, we are going to be sending this information to you on the trumpet. There's a sign-up sheet there. It's limited to 40 people because we cannot have more than that. And thank you so much. Please come.
Thank you, Alicia, and Tony, and Valerie for all your hard work on that. I should have just had you stay up here, Alicia, but I understand today is the final day for nominations to be submitted for the International Women's Day.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for, you can see that. Today is our last day to submit the nominations for the Rotary Award for International Women's Day. We have received several nominations and our committee will be meeting. It is not going to be an easy task, but we're very thankful. So please, if you have any nominations, please submit it to us. It has been in the trumpet and we have been talking about this. We hope to give we will be giving the awards on March 8th, which is officially International Women's Day all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a couple of other announcements. Not sure if anyone's here from Fellowship Committee today. I know we have the Phantoms hockey game that is Sunday, March 11th. I understand we have to get our numbers into the Phantoms this week. So if you're planning,
By the 1st.
by March 1st, okay. So if you're planning to attend, I know that Bryce has put out several notes. He would appreciate just an email response so that he can get an accurate count. Again, that's Sunday, March 11th at 5 o'clock. Eileen, I saw a few instant potato packages out there. How are we doing on the drive for the Angel Network?
We're apparently just that's the first we've gotten.
Okay. So we'll continue to collect them through March 15th?
Yes,
Okay. And we're aiming for how many boxes?
150.
All right, we got some work
Or
to
it
do.
doesn't have to be boxes, it can be individual bags, because I understand the bags feed 4 to 6 servings.
Sounds like a Costco run is in my future.
Mine too.
Thanks for coordinating.
And if you don't get the potatoes and you want to donate money, put money out on the table and we'll shop to finish up the last of it.
Great, thanks. A couple of other reminders. These are all in your trumpet, so you can look on that calendar at events section and see all of this. But because the dates are sort of starting to creep up on us, I just wanted to mention them. The gala for the District 7430 Foundation the Foundation Gala Dinner, I should say, Saturday, March 17th at 6 o'clock at the Pinecrest Country Club in Lansdale. We are a sponsor for that. We're also, through Julian Smider's donation, we have a basket that will be amongst those that will be raffled off. You can sign up on the link that's on the website on Eventbrite. That same day is Rotary Leadership Institute at King of Prussia in the morning and early afternoon. Again, I would encourage anyone who wants to attend that to sign up. The club pays your way, and it's terrific Rotary education. And last but not least, I'm sure Rick Gromas would love for us to continue to highlight the district conference, which is coming up sooner than we think, April 27th through April 29th. It's in Reading at the Crown Plaza Hotel. Again, Friday, April 27th, 29th. The link is in the email. Board members, there is a board meeting after today's breakfast meeting, so hopefully you all will be able to stay for that and you'll have a quorum. Any other announcements from the floor? Tony?
Just that we have the speech contest March 1st, a week from today. We have more participation from Rotary than ever, so many judges, but you're certainly welcome to come and hear the speeches. It's at 2:45 at Emmaus High School, Thursday, March 1st. So thank you for your help with that.
Thanks for coordinating.
It's in what they call the multimedia room. So I'm going to be at the entrance to the high school, at the main entrance, and I'll guide you up there. It's a little tricky to get to.
Gary.
John Coons and Lily's Hope, I think we made an announcement last week. We're looking for some help they're moving their offices to their new location, so which is very exciting. It is this Saturday from 10 to 2. They're looking for help to load up the truck, and I'll put this out in an email at the Bluegrass Trail location in Coopersburg, and then they will be unloading at South Cedar Crest, 1148 South Cedar Crest. Again, I'll put this in an email out to everybody. They're really looking for some help. I'm hoping we can help out. I know there's something else obviously going on at that time. But if you have any questions, you can contact John, and I'll put his email in. I'll put his phone number in the email. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Anyone else? Joe?
Just a quick reminder, Sheila and I are involved with the Friends of the Emmaus Public Library. Books and beer, March 7th, $5 gets you in, gets you appetizers, a chance to win Reader's Winner Survival Door Prize, and then of course the beer is on you, you know, so, but it's a great event. If you want to buy a ticket, you can buy them at the library or see me. Second thing is the club reimbursed the Friends for a computer that we bought. We had an antiquated computer, and I just wanted to express my thanks from the Friends of the Library. Obviously, every dollar that we save ultimately goes back to the library. And they're going to be expanding the library, so get involved with the library if you have a chance. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Anyone else?
Can I take it?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we will move on to the raffle. Moses, is that you?
Once again, good morning, everybody. Good morning. 5, 4, 6. Okay, good job.
I'll just give it to the whichever, the shelter box.
Oh, okay, thank you. We have that.
Oh, pick one, okay. Five, 4, 7. One more than mine.
5.
That's me.
They were both working at the desk.
Do we have a third dairy here tonight?
Yes.
Oh, to Gary, you should have to pay for that.
Now I have to pick Moses. Is that 553?
Oh,
553.
553. Going.
That's D's. She just went to the bathroom. So.
So she loses. You have to be present to win.
Congratulations.
Put it to the shelter box, same as mine. I wouldn't have.
Okay, thanks,
You get the same.
Moses, and congratulations to the winners.
I'll tell you, you better play the lottery
All right,
today.
folks, it's what you've all been waiting for. The inaugural Sergeant at Arms event by Don Blows. Like I said last week, like all good employees on his first week, he called in sick. So we got Valerie as a sub. So, hey, Don, no pressure. I happen to notice Dale walked in, so we have the inheritance here. So.
I mean, the good news is I thought I heard Steve's phone ringing while you were talking. So Steve, that's a fine.
That's incorrect. My phone is always on silent. It was somebody else's.
Well, you don't have to tell. I was going to give money anyway.
No pointing or, no, yes, it's
You'll pay.
it's your alarm.
Well, there were two of them. There was one from that side. You know what? Why don't you make it easy? Anybody that has a phone, chip in $1.
All right, so you have $1, you have $1, there's $1 over here. That's good. I'm working this real well. I was a little afraid taking over this position. So how many of you think I can actually handle this position?
Well, it depends on what happens if we raise our hand.
Those that raise your hand, that's $1 fine. I want to thank you. Well, no, not you. No, you will never get a fine from me. I'm filling in these shoes, so don't worry about it. So I just have another total. I owe you. Very good, very good. I have Moses is leaving early. Chris is leaving early. That guy over here that owes me money, he was late. I got $1 from Nancy because she wasn't going to be here, and I said, well, I'm going to be here, so I said, do you have a doctor's excuse? She said no, so she gave me a fine. I am also going to put a fine in from my pocket for missing last week. So does anybody else have any fines that they know of? Chris?
The normal fine.
The normal fine. I wanted to see if you were going to be honest.
Here's your $2 for me making fun of your tie.
Thank you.
That's kind of normal. Oh, no, it isn't.
It's a normal tie. It's wood. It's a wood tie. Should I be fined for my tie? Should we take another survey? Yes.
No, nothing. I was sponsored by the Newfoundland Club. While in Brazil, I participated in Interact and Rotaract activities. I lived with one family for the whole year, and because of their social status, I had the amazing experience of becoming a debutante, which is kind of cool because my parents are as blue collar gets. During my high school career at Wallenpaupack, I also participated in the Rotary Youth Leadership Camp and received a scholarship from the Holy Rotary Club. Our children, minus Damien, all graduated from that high school. And my daughter Rebecca, who was here not that long ago, she too was a Rotary Youth Exchange student. She studied in Venezuela, and she was sponsored also by the Newfoundland Rotary Club. That district up there is 7410. And she also received a scholarship upon graduation from the Lords Valley Rotary Club.
Yeah, keep on, Rose.
Okay. My family has hosted an inbound. Nicole Ramirez Perez lives in Venezuela and stayed with us for 4 months. I've supported Rotary over the years by participating in many fundraisers, but with a hectic life, I really never had the time to join Rotary. Where we lived in that large area, the nearest Rotary Club until recently was about 40 minutes away, and that's a lot of time from family. So now I'd like to move on and tell you about how my family is involved in the rare disease community. In the United States, a rare disease is defined as a disease that affects fewer than 200,000 people. In Europe, it's defined as affecting 1 in 2,000. So when you think of the size of the high school, realistically it's saying that there might be 2. And imagine that, in the context of population. I met my husband Dave in 2000. We unfortunately were both divorced, maybe fortunately for us, that we wound up together, single, full-time parents. You can imagine in the 90s, a guy actually getting custody of his children is pretty unusual. I thought so too, but it wound up being a pretty fun time. I had 2 daughters, Rebecca and Raquel, and he has 2 sons, Derek and Dylan. We've been together now for a little bit over 18 years, and our son Damien is 16 years old. When we first started dating, Dave had let me know that his son Dylan had a few odd medical issues, but nothing that would raise any red flags. He had issues with his nails and cuts that took a little bit longer to heal, but there really wasn't any red flags that made me concerned and to say, you know what, let's not move any forward, because obviously when you're dating somebody, you've got a family, that's a big concern. As time moved on, we settled into our new family, parenting our 5 children. Our world took a complete 180 after a routine blood test in 2002 revealed that Dylan's blood counts were low in all areas: hemoglobin, white blood cells, and platelets. Since this is working, I'm going to...
You're live, Rose. You can start over now.
I'll get us caught up to where we are. So this is my outbound picture from the Newfoundland Rotary Club. I was quite tan at that time.
Good job. Don't touch my mask.
Is everybody okay with the lights on?
Yeah. We should be able to go into present mode so they don't see both slides, right?
And I don't know it very well either.
How about the top display settings?
Yeah, I thought that was, let me try that middle one here. I thought that was for duplicating.
But if you guys are okay with it this way, I'm okay with just moving forward and having the sign up, if that's okay. So Lisa, if you would just hit the next one.
5 minutes, Rose.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
So this is a picture of me with my host parents during my debutante ball.
Wow, beautiful.
Thank you. It was quite an experience. I actually had to go to etiquette classes and everything. I learned a lot. The next picture is myself with my date, even though I didn't know him at all, and I didn't speak the language. I got there in August. This was in September.
Oh, it looks like you got married.
I had to learn, ballroom dancing and everything in a very short period of time. The next picture is a picture of my daughter Rebecca from her experience in Venezuela. She has carried this flag now to 4 continents. It goes with her everywhere. It's part of her, I feel like it's her purse. The next slide is Nicole, the young lady that stayed with us. Her family is extremely involved in Rotary in Venezuela. The next slide again is just at Rare Disease Day next week. The slide after that is the statistics of it. And then the next slide is a picture of myself from when we first started dating till now. And the next slide is our children, what they looked like when we first started dating. And the next slide is our son Damien. The one after that is what Dylan's nails kind of look like. These are not his hands. The doctors had said to Dave that this was actually like a fungal infection and was giving him fungus medication. The next slide is a picture of our family when Damien was just a baby, so this is going back into 2003, and now we're caught up, okay? So you can go to the next one, Alicia, and then after that we're caught up. And it's number 15. Our local doctors sent us immediately to an oncologist at Hershey Medical Center. After that trip to Hershey Medical Center, we found out that he did not have cancer. To say we were relieved is an understatement. No one knew what was causing it, but hey, it wasn't cancer. And going back, this is his blood counts being low. Hemoglobin, white, platelets, all of it very low. The worst thing one can imagine as a parent is the dreaded C word, isn't it? Over the next 3 years, we had blood samples sent to many facilities around the world. London, British Columbia, UCLA, New York, and many others, but with no diagnosis. For me, each time a test came back negative, it was a relief. We were so busy that it never dawned on us that each test was for something more rare than the last. During that time period, he had also failed an eye exam, and a quick diagnosis of Coats disease had us at Will's Eye for laser surgery to repair bleeding in the capillaries of his eye. In one eye, he ultimately had gone blind. It happened pretty quickly, but it did cause him to go blind. By this time, we were treating many different medical issues, and the doctors assured us that one had nothing to do with the other. They didn't have an answer, but they were pretty sure it wasn't together. We continued to monitor his blood counts, and by the time June 2005 rolled around, we were getting complete blood counts done bi-weekly. Percentage-wise, his counts across the board were about 25% of normal. His body wasn't making enough blood at that point, and he was in severe bone marrow failure, so we immediately had to go and get a transfusion. My husband took him to the hospital while I stayed home with the other kids. While at Hershey, his doctor shared Dylan's story with colleagues. A resident, that's always amazes me when I say this. A resident asked him if he could look at Dylan's hands because he just was in Washington, D.C. for a conference about a disease called DC. And one look at his hands and we had a diagnosis. Disc keratosis congenita. The boxes were being checked off as they told us about the symptoms. The nails, low blood counts, bone marrow failure, lacy skin issues. I remember Dave calling me. I was sitting at a softball game for our daughters, and he told me we had a diagnosis. Told me the name. I asked him how to spell it because that's not a word I would ever even hear in my life. And when I asked questions, he said to me, "We'll talk about it when I get home later." The siren was going off in my head, and I wasn't really satisfied that he brushed me off, so I called my mom. And I asked my mom, now this is 2005, so the internet's not really a thing yet. I asked my mom to look it up online, After she found it, she said to me, "Roseanne," she used both names, "where are you?" I told her, and she said, "Well, when you're done, why don't you come over the house?" And I knew there was a problem. So I said to her flat out, "How long do we have?" She said the average life expectancy for this disease was 16. Dylan was now 13. By definition, dyskeratosis congenita is a rare, progressive bone marrow failure syndrome. Early mortality is often associated with bone marrow failure, infections, fatal pulmonary complications, or malignancy. It was so rare that we couldn't find a doctor who specialized in the disease. Hershey Medical Center notified the National Institutes of Health of their diagnosis and found out from them that there wasn't a specialist that we could go to anywhere. There were just a handful of doctors who had ever seen someone with it. The National Institutes of Health told us that Dylan was number 206 in the world diagnosed. Derek, our other son, happened to be number 207. Derek wasn't showing any signs, but because he was a perfect bone marrow match to Dylan, genetically they knew that he too had the disease. We were devastated. To know that you have one sick is hard, but to know you have two, that's a lot worse. The doctors gave us two options with Dylan. The first was to do nothing, and because of the severity of his bone marrow failure, he would surely pass away within a year. Or we could attempt to do a bone marrow transplant from an unrelated donor. The success of the latter, they told us, was less than 50%, but if we were successful, we could buy more time. A transplant wouldn't be the cure, just a Band-Aid. Dyskeratosis congenita affects every cell in your body. It is a mutation at the end of the cells that causes rapid aging, rapid mutation inside one's body. We knew if we got past this, we would be looking at some sort of soft tissue cancer within 15 years. As parents, we chose to fight. In December 2005, he started his hospital journey. He went through 2 bone marrow transplants, a couple more eye surgeries, many complications, and after a very long fight, he passed away September 16, 2006, from fungal pneumonia, which was just a side effect of not having any immune system. The hospital was doing construction. Even though he was in the hospital, when they dug, the spores came up, got into the ventilation, and he got fungal pneumonia. Nothing prepared us for this. We put our heads down and got down to the business of raising our 4 remaining children. We put all of our energy into them and making sure they excelled. From the outside, many thought we were doing great, but honestly, Dave and I were just going through the motions. Our wake-up call came in September of 2008. The National Cancer Institute, which is part of the National Institutes of Health, invited us to a family symposium in Bethesda, Maryland. We just wanted to know why and how this had happened to our family. We were meeting people just like us for the first time. We could finally bond with others over our shared experience. Until this moment, we had been alone. The absence of a family support group also was recognized by the physicians of the inherited bone marrow failure syndrome at the National Cancer Institute. It was a void that a team of scientists led by Blanche Alter, principal investigator of the study, set about filling by sponsoring this family organization symposium. A number of us quickly organized into a group driven to expand the dyskeratosis congenita community. We stepped forward and joined others to form a volunteer group of directors. The 9-member board began holding monthly meetings by internet teleconference. I was their first treasurer, and with the help of a few other board members in 2009, Dyskeratosis Congenita Outreach Incorporated received its 501c3 status, giving it legitimacy as a charitable foundation. We quickly realized that we needed to build a bridge from the patients to the doctors, so we created a 5-member medical advisory committee comprised of the world's foremost authorities on dyskeratosis congenita. They work closely with that group to assist patients and educate the wider medical world. Since its inception, the organization has grown to include 300 families, many of whom are not from the United States. We are the only group to serve the needs of this community, and in 2012, a sister chapter opened. We call it DCO Pacific, and it's actually out of Australia and New Zealand. In addition to the website, the organization maintains accounts on Twitter, Facebook, which have several hundred followers from dozens of countries. In 2010, the group initiated a biannual family retreat, which is held on Sebago Lake in Maine at Camp Sunshine, which is a retreat for families of children with life-threatening illnesses. These events have been resounding successes, attended by families from all over the world. For many families, one of the most difficult aspects of a dyskeratosis congenita diagnosis is a sense of isolation. So few people, doctors included, are familiar with or even aware of the disease, let alone have it. The chance for face-to-face interaction among patients and families, direct engagement with others who truly understand is precious. Add to that the expert lectures, counseling sessions, opportunities for one-on-one time with some of the world's top specialists, and a healthy dose of fun. The experience becomes what many have said is life-changing. These family retreats are free of charge to the attendees, and the organization is committed to sponsoring this as long as it can. Sponsoring also includes travel scholarships to those in need. Medical illness is financially draining, and we didn't want money to stop people from attending. We have sponsored families from Australia, a couple from Europe, and about 10 from the United States. You can see how small we were in the first one, and this is our last one, so we're doing a little bit better. Each time, it's small and it grows. Also in 2010, the group began publishing a semi-annual newsletter called the DC Companion, which is written and edited by board members and alumni. The group began holding family support meetings held by internet teleconference in 2012. These support calls always have a medical advisory person, whether it's from the community or a specialist outside the group. The calls not only give them a chance to gain an expert's perspective, but allows them to talk to other families who are talking about, hey, I've got this symptom. Has anybody else experienced it? Tell us what your doctor is doing. In 2013, Dyskeratosis Congenita Outreach was one of 10 advocacy groups selected from hundreds of applicants to participate in a research program organized by the Genetic Alliance. The following year, our patients and family members began filling out what they call patient-powered surveys. It's going to be a massive database that's secure, that allows cross-referencing of patients, diseases, and symptoms. So as research is going on, they don't have to try to, by word of mouth, look for somebody. They can go into the database and say, will you participate in our study? Attending scientific meetings is also among Dyskeratosis Congenita Outreach's initiatives, and since 2011, it has maintained a presence at the American Society for Hematology's annual conference. Over 20,000 hematologists from around the world attend, and as an exhibitor, the group spreads awareness about the condition by demystifying commonly held beliefs. Unfortunately, they think it's mostly happening in children, but there are adults that get diagnosed that have had it all their life, but because their symptoms are not very pronounced, they don't even know they have it. So we're trying to make sure that people know it can affect anybody and it can show itself at any time. The pronounced lack of both familiarity with DC and readily available information within the medical community are what prompted Dyskeratosis Congenita to pursue the creation of clinical guidelines. The number of stories told about children lost because of either misdiagnosis or suboptimal medical treatments is both unbearable and unacceptable. In line with its mission to provide information with support services to families affected by this disease and to educate the medical providers, this clinical guideline was created. In 2015, a team of more than 400 doctors, all experts in their field, so we might have had a dermatologist, endocrinologist, different doctors, for each one, because again, it affects every part of the system, so it's not just one doctor. Worked with us and published its first clinical guideline. This 433-page book is available on hard drive, PDF, or jump drive to anybody, anywhere in the world. Something portable that they can take to the local doctor and say, hey, this is how you treat me. And if you need help, these are the doctors you contact. Today, the organization is in its third generation of board of directors. Founding members such as myself have stepped back, thus allowing the organization to grow and evolve. My role now is to continue to help the organization by fundraising, being a friend to parents who are walking through their own journey, raise awareness of bone marrow donation, and most importantly, spread the word. Our group now participates in University of Pennsylvania's $1 Million Bike Ride. Team Josh and the DCO Riders was started by my dear friend Bruce Friedman in memory of his son Josh. We have successfully raised $50,000 for the bike ride, and with the University of Penn's match, have been able to give $100,000 in research grants. One of the grants allows a DC patient bone marrow transplant protocol to be rolled out in 6 hospitals in the US. Prior to that, there was really only 2 places, if you knew of them, that you could go to. So you can go to Boston or you can go to Minneapolis, and that's kind of hard if you're living in California. You know, you're really separating yourself from your family. That brings us to a total of 8 transplant sites with universal care in the United States. It's also available worldwide. If any doctor calls these doctors and says, hey, I want your protocol, the walls are down. If you need it, they'll give it out without any worries. No matter how remote a patient is, our doctors are committed to sharing whatever information they have to help them. We are always looking for cyclists, so if you are a cyclist and want to join us, please let me know. Being a small organization comes with its own set of struggles. Being a rare disease on top of that makes it difficult. Although disc keratosis congenita is a diagnosis my sons have, we are still waiting for the scientific community to find our gene. There are 70% of the less than 2,000 diagnosed worldwide who have an identified gene. To date, 13 genes have been found. In 2005, when Dylan was first diagnosed, there was only 5. So we're making progress. What does that really mean? It could help with treatment if we know what it is, but more importantly, it would allow us to know if Derek and Damien, but Damien more importantly is a carrier. As a carrier, and we know the gene, it would allow him to choose to do genetic counseling when he's ready to start a family. And that's his choice. To know whether you're carrying something that can be passed on and rear its head generations from now, that's a decision that we'll make once we really have our gene. Derek is now 26 years old and holding his own. Unlike Dylan, he has not had bone marrow failure. It may happen in the future, but for now we're hopeful that it doesn't. He has lots of medical issues, but none that are life-threatening at this moment. So for now, we put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. This is the last picture of our family that we took together. Sorry. It was taken the night before Dylan went into the hospital. We had planned to get a professional picture, but time ran out. We were getting ready for bed, and reality set in that we didn't get it done. So in a panic, we walked the kids up and told them to come to the living room as they were, pajamas and all, and we got our last picture. Thanks, guys. Questions for me?
Remarkable, amazing, courageous. I am so impressed what you have done. Did you get counseling and therapy throughout this, or you just...
No, and that is the one thing that we really strive to tell people from diagnosis throughout. We did not, and that is the worst mistake at the end of it that we didn't. So, we've been on the couch for a couple years now, and it's made our family stronger, it's made us better people. So we didn't, but if you know of anybody who's got children who are sick, even in the moment, counseling is the right thing, because I feel that, as much as we love our spouses and we've got our family support, we're all dealing with the same thing and all dealing differently. And if you have somebody who's impartial that you can talk to and just spill your guts and say what you have to say without judgment or without, hey, I can fix it for you, I think that's always the best thing. Anybody else? Well, thank you all very much. Thank you again.
Thank you, Rose.
Thanks very much, Rose. Very sorry for your loss, but I really admire what you've done after your son passed. It's amazing how you've helped others. So thank you for sharing your story. Let's rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance.